All right, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 361, and this is where I like to ask people who are watching live to refresh the page if they can't see the video, but that doesn't make any sense because they wouldn't be watching this if they couldn't see the video. So instead, I will just say thank you very much for watching this one, whether you're with us live. If you are, just give us a hello. Hey, I'm here. I love seeing where people are at and knowing people are here. We've already got a ton of questions to go through. And if you're not watching live and you're catching the replay, leave a comment. We appreciate that too. We get all the comments on YouTube and love that. And while you're there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with us. Now, wanted to say hi to everybody real quick before we get into it. And then we're going to jump into the questions after some short announcements. So I'll start at the top of my screen. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Had a couple long nights, if you want to call it that way. Lots of work getting done, but also super excited to be here. And yeah, we'll hit the bed early today, so I probably don't make the whole Hump Day Hangout today.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, pretty late where you're at. So Bradley, how about you? What are you up to? Or how you doing, I guess is a better one. Not what are you up to? You're doing Hump Day Hangouts, but how you doing?
Well, I'm up to standing today. So if it looks weird, it's because I'm trying this stand-up conversion desk thing. It's kind of weird. And because I'm in like this dormer, if you know what a dormer is, and that's always been where my computer desk is. It looks funny from this sort of an angle with the camera, but
it's like a security camera. Like
you know, the ceiling's like right above my head, you know, so it looks like it should be claustrophobic, but
anyway, I actually thought you're doing one of those like isolation things for like better audio.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
at
like
least it looks like that.
Sleeping pods that they have at like Google and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, but no, I'm good, man. A lot of stuff cooking right now. We've got a ton of things going on right now. A lot of really good stuff going on, and really looking forward to launching some of this. So stay tuned, guys. We've got announcements coming in the next couple of weeks. And
yeah, well, you know, Bradley, I sent you something yesterday that I believe was something like a pre-launch opt-in. Do we got something cooking? A little something maybe?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not ready for today. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't. I just wanted to, I think we could, this is on the fly, by the way. If you're watching that, that's why I'm being so weird about this. Could we tell them maybe what kind of general area it's around or what it has to do with?
On page content, you know, on page SEO type stuff. But it's coming. We'll be sharing more about it. Probably next week. We'll have a little bit more to share about it, but it's we're pretty excited about that and several other things that are going on. And yeah, as Adam said, also
you're bringing something new out. Wow.
Huh?
What's that?
You're bringing something new out. Like I read the post the other day and it was like, yeah, well, our stuff is like kind of like old and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, because it actually works compared to everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like needs to update it like every 3 months.
Remember,
another Google update.
We're in the industry where unless it's shiny, people lose interest. And, you know, the fundamentals don't change, guys. And that's why a lot of what we teach and stuff, you know, it works and it continues to work year after year after year. And so if you're looking for shiny objects, then, you know, go elsewhere because that's not what you're going to get here. But we've got some stuff that is fundamental that is we're going to be
fundamentally new. I would call it that way.
Well, it's a new service for us, but it's certainly something that will help you guys out. You know, I've been testing for months with doing on-page stuff and more organic ranking stuff, and also GMB stuff as always. And you know, on-page is 70% of it now. I truly believe that. You know, and in activity signals, like backlinks are such a smaller piece of the overall ranking pie that they used to be. Don't get me wrong; links are still absolutely you know, critical. It's something you have to have. But if you get your on page right, and you know, that's about 70% of the work. And then some of the tricks that we have that we talk about, like using CT spam bots, Michael Bowes, Viper Tools, which by the way, I talked to him on Monday. He said it might keep it open until close of business today. So if anybody did not pick up Viper Tools yet, and you want to, I think he left the back door open for 2 more days, which would be close of business today. So I would check it out. But with tools like Viper Tools, which is, you know, you can essentially fake traffic activity, or using Google Ads, which I've been teaching about for years now, for traffic signals. using display network ads, which my average cost per click for display networks for the projects that I run, campaigns I run, are usually about 25 cents. So with $1.50 a day budget, you can get 6 clicks per day from very targeted audiences. And so there's that, or there's the CT spam bot tools. They both have their place. I use both of them together, but with those kind of like traffic signals that we can generate, and the on-page stuff, that's like 85-90% of it right there, with backlinks only being the remaining small piece of it. So that's something that we're going to be sharing. Like I said, we're going to be talking a lot more about kind of some on-page and content stuff that we're going to be launching in the next few weeks after some beta testing, but we'll have a little bit more information about it next week.
Cool. Let me see then. The last thing I wanted to definitely touch on was mentioned this last week. We're wrapping up the POFU Live, getting that ready so people can access the recordings. The people who were at POFU Live, thank you, one, for being there and helping make that such a fun event there at the end of September. But they've already got access to the recordings. We will be opening that up for sale here in the coming weeks. Also, wanted to talk to, because we had several people join the mastermind after POFU Live. And so always like to touch base on that and just say, if you're ready to take your digital marketing and results to the next level, you're looking for people to surround yourself with who are doing the same thing. We have mostly agency digital consultancies. We also, though, have people who have brick and mortar and who are doing this for themselves. And we also tell them, hey, you should learn this and then stop doing this for yourself. But we have a great range of people in there, and that's part of what makes it so powerful. I'm proud of who I am and the knowledge I can impart on people, but there's also the power of the group, right? And being part of a mastermind is important, and we're really proud, and we really like the results that people get from the mastermind. So that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of. You can find out more at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. All right, guys.
Yeah, if I can add to that just briefly, I know that you, in our mastermind, we have these kind of like breakout groups for mini masterminds or small group masterminds. And it's, where we take a few people and have these small groups that meet on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, or whatever the schedule is everybody agrees to. And I run several of them. I've got a sales mastermind every Thursday that I run with about me and 6 others. I've got what I call a directory agency model accountability group that I run every Monday with me and 3 others. 4, but Chris is, anyways, 3 or 4 others. And then I also have the Build with Bradley group, which isn't really a mastermind specific group, but that's where we're doing like mass page builds. I'm using Magic Page plugin, and that's every other week. So I'm actually hosting my mastermind main webinar, and then a Build with Bradley group, which is every other week as well, and then 2 small group masterminds. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I know Adam has just been posting recently. We just opened up like the sign up form for mastermind members to join and get grouped with other people that are peers, I guess, or colleagues that they could form these small group masterminds with, and that's getting ready to shut down because the new groups are being formed. But what I like about it is that, like Adam just said, it's not like the small group masterminds that I'm hosting or part of, I should say. People are coming and just like listening to me talk and shit like that. That's what the mastermind webinar is for. But the mini group masterminds or the accountability groups, it's where we all come and we share ideas, and it's a meeting. It's not a webinar. It's a meeting. We all talk, we share ideas. And it's just really good. My sales mastermind alone, I've really formed a bond with all the members of my group. And it's just men in that group in particular, but it's just been really cool to we help to build each other up and provide support for various things when we need it. And that's the true power of a mastermind, guys, which is why we always called it that, because it's not just about you guys come and listen to training. That's not it. It's about rubbing elbows with colleagues and learning from others as well. And that's kind of what we do in these small group masterminds. So that's a huge benefit that I think gets overlooked often.
Definitely like it. Well, let's get into it. I know we got some interesting questions here today, and I posted the links on the page for anyone watching for Viper tools, like Bradley said the last day, link to the YouTube channel, and also the mastermind. So with that said, let's hop into it.
Yeah. And guys, don't sit on it. If you're thinking that you want to use to mimic traffic signals, you can either learn how to do it with Google Ads, which I teach in the mastermind, where you can use some tools. A Viper tools works. It works great I've been using it for months. The only reason why I hadn't brought it to our audience up until like the last week was because it was buggy, and there was things that there was times where things would break and all that. And it's been way more stable over the last couple of months. There's still issues. It's software, guys. It's programming. So occasionally there's some issues that pop up. Michael has been dealing with some issues over the last like 24 hours or so, and that's fine. But what I like about it is it works consistently well. And other than, occasional bugs that need to be squashed, it's a great program. And he gave us a hell of a deal. So I would check it out if you can, because otherwise you're going to miss out on it. So, all right, with that said, if it's cool, I'm going to grab the screen, guys.
Let's do it.
Okay, we should be good.
And got
Yep.
it.
All right, let's see, where are we? I think we start with Gary, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Hey guys, I got a weird situation and could do with some input. I have a company with lots of location pages ranking, but it looks like they have an exact clone of their site on another domain and taking up multiple spots in the serps. I checked and there is no canonical. How can this be done, and is it a good idea? No, I don't think it's a good idea. I can't without taking a look at it. All right. So he says it goes like this: currentdomain.com/page. And then there's a shorter domain.com/page. Yeah. Okay. So you've got whatever the original domain is, and then there's another version of the domain that's shorter. And it looks like it's just a clone of the site, is what you're saying, with no canonicals. Yeah. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. I'd have a conversation. If it's your client, I'd have a conversation with the business owner and find out what the hell they had done previously. And they might not know, it depends. It depends on how much, they were involved with their previous SEO guy or, marketing guy or whatever. And I say guy, but you all know what I mean. Marketing person. So, find out. That's what I would do. And find out, like, if they have any idea what the plan was, or, something like that. So you can get some insight and try to figure out what the hell they were attempting to do. I wouldn't leave it like that. I don't know why they're both ranking without looking at it. I couldn't tell you. And even looking at it, I might not be able to determine it. I might have some ideas, but I wouldn't want that, because I would want to go on whatever the branded domain is for the company, whatever their main domain is. If they have some other site out there that maybe they were trying to do a domain transfer, or, migrate their site just so they could switch it to a different domain. I don't know. I don't know, because I have such limited information here, but I wouldn't leave it like that, because eventually one of them is going to be considered the page, and the other one isn't. And so for each page that's ranking, and it could cause problems, especially with the entity. It could ambiguate the entity. It could cause problems. So I would either, canonicalize the clone, one or the other, right? So either the original to the clone, if the clone is supposed to be the new domain, or canonicalize the clone to the original domain if you wanted to leave it up for whatever reason. And there's some real ninja stuff you can do with canonicals, guys. There's some real ninja stuff, because you can build links to a canonical URL, and the URL oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes won't index, or it will drop out of the index. It will only index for a short period of time, but then canonical will push power over to what it's canonicalized to, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with that to keep prying eyes, like other SEOs, from figuring out what it is that you're doing. But again, with all you're asking is, I have such limited information here that I can't really give you an exact, a precise answer. All I can do is say I would try to find out some more from the actual business owner as to what the purpose of, like, what were they attempting to do? Because if they were trying to transfer it to a new domain, then obviously you'd want to, canonicalize the original, or delete it entirely and just keep the new domain. If they're both ranking, I understand you almost want to leave it, but I suspect that will likely just be a temporary thing. And at some point, Google's going to determine one is better than the other, or more suited, more appropriate than the other, and it will leave that one up, and the other one will drop out of the index. And if you have mix matched, and you can ambiguate the entity and actually cause some problems for the main brand itself. So I would recommend that you either delete them entirely, the duplicates, or canonicalize them. And then, like I said, you can do some pretty ninja stuff if you have access to both of them. So if you want to provide some more information, Gary, I'm happy to try to give you a better answer. Wallace says, hi, yes, I'm wondering if you guys are doing anything with machine learning tech on your sites to improve conversions and or automate stuff to help your sites grow. I'm not sure, Wallace, what you mean by that. I mean, we are using a lot of like AI tools and stuff right now for, developing content, for managing, or for essentially like one of the tools I use is nlinks.net, which has a automated internal link builder, which is really cool. It's just a piece of JavaScript that you add to your site in the site header. And then from there, it will actually go out based on what you do in nlinks. And so it, what named entities you assigned to each page or post, and then it'll automatically do internal linking for you. So that's kind of cool. But as far as machine learning specifically, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Just AI assisted tools. I'm using a lot of that right now. I think everybody is. We're in the early stages of that. And I can imagine it's just going to snowball from here, which is really cool because it gives us kind of an unfair advantage. I think it's easier now to get results than it was several years ago, for sure. You want to comment on that, Adam?
Yeah, I just wanted to recommend one, not knowing what he or she is doing. But if you're doing anything for conversion-based or landing pages, things like that, there's a tool you should check out. It's called Auto Optimize. Let me pull it up in my browser so I can remember it because it's not .com. AutoOptimize.ai. Super cool tool. They've done a lot of development over the past year or two. I've been using them since they were in beta, and a lot you can do and set up and automatically run tests that will do things like switching out headlines, switching images, switching colors and stuff all on page without you having to do anything on the page. So for example, I'll use that with ClickFunnels. Yeah. Hey, look at that. And yeah, so big fan of it, worth checking out if you're doing stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly that's what they were looking for, but a fun tool that not a lot of people seem to know about.
I didn't know about it. You've been holding out on me.
Yeah, keeping it a secret, man. Gotta keep I can be the only testimonial down there.
Actually use this on some of my landing pages right now. I'll have to check into it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, tell Arib that Adam sent you. So I've had fun over the last year or two working with those guys.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Well, there you go, Wallace. There's something. Okay. Charles, what's up, Charles? He says, was approached by a new web developer and getting some website work done. Is there any cool Ninja on-page stuff that can be added to the theme to help out SEO efforts? Thanks in advance. Cool Ninja on-page stuff. Well, schema, if you do schema right. Adam, I don't know if you have Rob's course link available, but Rob's
let me grab that
course for schema tech. He's got the most thorough schema training that I've ever seen. And that's no bullshit, guys. Not just because he's associated with us, but that's the truth. Like it's crazy. It is so in depth. I haven't even implemented all the stuff that he's taught because it is so in depth. But the thing is, Charles, you can do schemas like everyone else does. And basically you're just kind of right in the middle of the crowd with everyone else because everyone is using schema now, or most businesses or most websites have schema on them, but they have just really basic type of schema. When you get into the more advanced schema, that's one of the things that you can do like on page that is ninja, right? Because if you have more advanced schema, they call it, Rob calls it node referencing and that sort of thing, then that's one that can be a huge boost. Also, like I just mentioned, nlinks.net is a great tool for kind of advanced internal linking in an automated way with just adding a piece of JavaScript to the header of the site. It's great. It will actually, it's kind of NLP algorithm, natural language processing algorithm is very, it's very sensitive. In other words, it's very aggressive. It pulls like you can analyze or audit pages and posts on your site, and it will pull back all of the things that it has determined could be considered as entities on the page. And then you can like assign specific entities, and you can do it with more than one to each one of the pages. And then the internal linking throughout, it will find opportunities within your site that will automatically link to the pages using varied anchor text internally to link to the site that, for any time like an entity is mentioned in any one of the other pages or posts on the site, it will link to that page that was assigned or designated with that for that entity, if that makes sense. So that's something that I like. There's also some automated schema in links.net, which will do like FAQ schema and some other stuff. I'm not crazy about that though, because if I'm adding schema manually to each page, which I tend to do, then it can conflict with that. So I don't like to use the automated schema. Although if you don't know what you're doing, it's great because it will automate adding schema to pages like FAQ stuff and all that. But you can turn those options on and off. But that's something that, again, that's an external application, but it works really, really well to help get your on page correct. And especially if you have any sites that are larger or have a lot of internal pages and stuff, it's very difficult to go through all those and do that manually. Whereas with the InLinks internal linking function, it will automatically do everything for you. And it does it rather quickly, and you don't even have to think about it. And what I love about it, like I said, is it varies the the anchor text, even for the internal link, so that it's not always just hammering, a specific page with the same keyword. It will take longer versions of it. It will take close variant versions of it, of the keyword itself, and use that as a linking opportunity. So it's a pretty powerful thing to, especially like I said, if you've got a lot of posts and or pages on the site, a lot of content, it's hard to do that manually. Whereas a tool like InLinks will automate that for you. It's probably one of the best internal linking things I've ever come across. So I would take a look at that. Okay. A couple other things, I've tested this recently and I've had some pretty good results with speeding up a site. I know, that's not a major ranking factor, but I have seen a little bit of a boost on some of the sites that were slower just by decreasing page load times. So increasing the speed of the site. I've actually seen a little bit of a boost from that, which is, kind of interesting because I know you can still have a slow site and rank, but I know that some of my sites had some issues, and I recently had gone through a course on how to do some page speed stuff, and I was able to get the page speed increased, or, the load time decreased considerably on my own. But then I ended up, I use WPX hosting almost exclusively now. And they have a service where they will do like speed up your site for you. And they'll do it, I think, free for one site per hosting account. And then every time thereafter, you have to pay for it. But I found it to be quite good. Like I've gotten a significant increase in speed, so decrease in page load times from having them do it. And I actually saw a bit of a boost from that in organic serps, which was pretty interesting. It took about 2 weeks from the time that they completed it before I saw a boost, but I actually saw a jump from that. And at least I'm attributing it to that because I wasn't doing much else to it at that point. So I have a feeling that that's what it was. So you might want to check into that as well, Charles. Ruggs is back. What's up, Ruggs? He says, following up on my question from last week about pushing short form paragraph plus image social content to the syndication network, your answer was about proper formatting issues with automation tools. That's helpful, but my interest was more on number one, is short form content under 300 characters already posted to GMB or Facebook helpful and appropriate to be syndicated to the remaining parts of the network? Yeah, I mean, it can be. 300 characters is awfully short though. So, I mean, I don't know. Google My Business posts give you the ability to for up to 1,500 characters, and I try to usually flesh those posts out to get close to that. Like my bloggers, I've trained them just to have letter count open in another tab. I want to keep that tab open so I see it. So my bloggers go to lettercount.com, and whenever they're publishing a post, well, it depends. Some of the post schedulers will also have like a character counter built into them. It depends on which one we're using, but they'll paste in the text here and count the characters, because if it's over 1,500, it will give you an error. So I try to flesh it out to about that much, especially if you plan on syndicating Rugs, those types of posts. It's better to have a little bit more content than just 300 characters. I mean, essentially you're doing like an image post. If you're just doing 300 characters, right? You might have an image post with a caption. That's basically what that is. So, I mean, other than perhaps it could generate some traffic signals if people are truly engaged on like your Facebook page or any of your blog sites that you're syndicating to, and it triggers a click from them, that could be helpful. But as far as SEO, with such, you get some internal links from that, I guess, back. You can have some internal links for that, but I tend to try to add some more contextual relevance to my posts, which is why I said, my team and I try to flesh out our blog posts to be a little bit more, or excuse me, our GMB posts, unless we're automating posts to the GMB. Like I've talked about this recently, but we use a tool, and Adam, I have a link for that, an SM short link tool called OneUp app. That's a great tool for syndicating RSS feed posts, like for posts from your RSS feed to GMB. And all that does is pull in the titles. So that's different because that's just an automated activity post, but that's just to keep activity, keep the GMB active is what I mean. But for like specifically when I'm doing like a GMB post silo for specific SEO purposes, I'm going to want to add more content to add some like contextual relevance to each one of the posts, and then, daisy chain them together or interlink them in a silo format so that I'm getting the kind of desired effect that I want. Those are the types of posts that I think are best for syndicating. If you were going to re-syndicate those types of posts too, like a Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, etc., those are the kinds that I would do. Like the shorter type of posts, which are much like image posts, like when I'm automating posts to the GMB through an RSS feed, those are just activity posts. It's basically an image and the title and then the CTA button that links the call to action button, which links back to the post URL. That's not something I would want to re-syndicate, right? That's just to produce activity on the GMB. So I don't know if that clears it up. Yes, I think there is something to be said if you can do it to where it looks right, where you can syndicate posts from GMB to Syndication Network properties if they have more content, is what I'm saying. But all that said, test it, test it and see. Run some tests on it and, publish posts and see what you can do and monitor and track your results and let us know how it goes for you. Number 2, should we append different tags or links than the original posts? Should they have attribution and go to the GMB since the short content is not on the money site? Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. Different tags or links than the original post. I'm not sure what you mean there. Remember with the GMB post, guys, you can you can add text links within the text body of the post, but they're no follow. It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, no follow links are still valuable, but you can get follow links from the CTA button. So, I'm not sure, again, I don't know what the purpose of like what you're trying to accomplish with this actually. Should we append different tags or links to the original post? I'm not sure. If you're automating it, I don't know how you would append anything to it. I guess if you could build that into the applet or whatever tool it is that you're using to automate the syndication of your posts, if you can add additional content when it syndicates, then test with that too. I don't know. I haven't tested that. Test with that too. I'm not sure if we can use anchor tag backlinks, as you probably can't push and publish HTML through an automation tool. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the tool, but yeah, you can. And when you say anchor tag backlinks, I'm assuming, are you talking about anchor text or like anchor links, which are like jump links? So I'm kind of getting I'm not real clear on what you're asking about there either, Rugs. I'll tell you one thing that's powerful. I said this before, guys. If you're using long form content, which is what I prefer for like money pages, top of silo content and such, where I, years ago would have kind of, the main, whatever the main keyword is at the top of silo. And then I would have a bunch of supporting keywords and they would automatically start siloing and doing supporting posts where I would target those, each post would be optimized for one of those supporting keywords. And we would, start daisy chaining them together and always linking back up to the top of silo. And then all those posts get syndicated to the networks and all that. And that's great. But over the last couple of years, I really found much better results most of the time with, instead of doing, one page that's optimized for just one main keyword and then each subsequent post optimized for one supporting keyword. What I found is, take your top level terms, your main keyword, and then the most important secondary keywords or supporting keywords and add them all in the long form content. And do that with, I like to use table of contents plugins on sites. I like to use accordion menus because a lot of, or, toggle menus, that, toggled content boxes and things like that, because a lot of the content that we publish or that I publish for tree service stuff is typically 3 times the length of all the other competitors. And so it's, and nobody goes onto a fucking tree service site to read about all, through all that content. It's strictly for SEO. So I like to hide a lot of that stuff behind accordion menus or drop downs or toggle boxes and things like that. But then I use table of contents so that when somebody does land on the table of contents is not only for user, but it's also for SEO. Because when Google comes and crawls the page, it crawls the table of contents and it's a jump link to each one of the section headers. So it kind of organizes long form content for the bots, but it also does it for humans, for the visitors, right? So that, and again, so what I've been doing more recently is actually putting a lot of the content. We do a lot of Q&A type content because, Google loves questions and answers. And one of, some of the tools that we use, AI writing, like for example, phrase.io has an outline builder that is all question and answer based, right? It's all question-based outlines. So I've been doing a lot of content with that and testing with that recently. And what's really cool about it is for example, with like Elementor, you can use an accordion box, right? And you can put the questions in and you can assign like an H3, so an H2 section header, then assign like an H3 tag for each one of the questions in the accordion menu boxes. And when you click the button for it to expand, then the content is just regular paragraph content, if that makes sense. But it's a really good hierarchy that you can build right into the content. And all of that is like jump link ready. If you have a table of contents plugin, which again, Elementor Pro has a table of contents add-on, but you can also add an additional plugin. All that is great for both the visitor as well as the bots. And that's what I was getting at for using for backlinking purposes, whether you're doing internal linking through blog posts or just doing external links from your Web 2.0 sites or GMB posts, for example, and things like that, you can link directly to those jump links, right? So essentially the links within the table of contents that link down into the content at that specific location. And so those are some really cool opportunities that you can do for backlinking using those jump links, which again, using a table of contents plugin or whatever will automate that for you. So I'm not sure what you were asking about anchor tag backlink, whether you're talking about an anchor link, which is like a jump link, or an anchor text backlink. Okay. If you clarify that, I'll follow back up. Marco Polo, do you know of any good automated lead magnets we can use to collect leads for our SEO agencies looking for something that creates a basic branded report of how the business is going in local GMB, SERPs, and with social and CTA? With a CTA, to contact and automatically join a newsletter opt-in. Yeah, SEMrush has one. Bright Local has one. It's called an agency prospector. I'm pretty sure almost all of the major reporting and backlink analysis SEO tools have it. If you're doing local, I'm a big fan of Bright Local. Have been for 8 years, I think. And they have an agency prospector there. You have to buy credits. I think you can buy a certain amount of credits on a monthly subscription, but then you can always add additional credits or add-on credits. But that's a pretty good tool because and again, especially if you're doing local, because Bright Local's built around local and map stuff. So, but I know SEMrush has one. Like I said, probably all the major, Majestic doesn't, but that's just strictly for backlinks. But like I said, I like the Bright Local agency prospector tool. Also, David Sprague, he has something called I can't remember the name of it now. Anyways, he's got a tool. No, Lead Kahuna scrapes leads, but he's got another tool that does that. It does something similar. People can go there and submit their,
yeah, I remember that.
Submit their information, and it will pull back a report, and it's basically just a lead generator. So, but yeah, I mean, they're pretty good. I've actually got Bright Local installed on a landing page that I use in some of my prospecting stuff, so it does work. Check that out. We do have a link for Bright Local and SM short link too, by the way. Adam. All right, next one. What's something we can do to massively scale up link building to the money website so we can start ranking for rougher keywords? I have the SEO Shield citations, PR, and tiered links, but only ranking for low competition keywords. Well, I mean, Massively scale up link building. I don't know that you want to massively scale up link building to the money site. What I would encourage you to do is massively scale up your second tier link building, right? Focus more on your tier one links having really, really, really well developed content. So in other words, you can go out and create backlinks on additional branded Web 2.0 profiles, maybe stuff that you don't syndicate to, but we always talk about constantly increasing your entity footprint, right? So getting a presence on more platforms. And so go out and just get a list. We've got in Syndication Academy, that's part of what we're doing for update webinars is we're going through and identifying great Web 2.0 sites that you can get a presence on. And then connect with all of your other social media profiles as much as possible. You want to create those interlinks as much as possible. That's how you make those associations, and you start to grow geometrically as opposed to linearly, right? Does that make sense? It's geometric growth. The more kind of digital platforms that you can gain a presence on for the brand, the entity that you're trying to promote, and then interconnect them so that you create the associations between those nodes, right? That gets added to the knowledge graph for that entity. And so what we do, like in Syndication Academy, for example, is we try to identify additional sites that you can get a presence on, right? So create a profile on, and then publish content. Maybe it's not automated from your blog, but that's okay, because again, having a presence on those and then interconnecting it with your as many other profiles as possible, that's how you start to make that association. So through that process, you can, there are some really good blog sites out there that you can publish content on. And again, I'm not talking about automated content. I'm talking about treating your tier one content like you would money site content. So having really well-developed SEO tuned or entity tuned content, long form stuff that then you could embed you can manipulate anchor text ratios by linking back to the money page that you're trying to rank. You can also embed GMB map, GMB website, a link back to your GMB CID map URL, a link back to your GMB website URL. You can embed your money site page that you're trying to promote, because embeds are iframes are a great way to also push power into your assets. So what I'm talking about is doing long form content that's well tuned, that could rank on its own. And then you hammer on Web 2.0 sites. And then you can do to scale up your link building, you scale up your link building to those tier one assets. And that's here's the thing, guys. If any of you guys use Majestic as a backlink analysis tool, you'll notice that if you've ever compared backlink analysis from Majestic to like SEMrush or Moz Pro or Ahrefs or Ahrefs, however you say it, you'll notice that Majestic typically shows less links than any of the other tools. And why is that? Well, because they have a filter built into it that kind of filters out any of the links that have like little to no value, right? And I like that. I started testing I tested Ahrefs or Ahrefs, and we have a subscription for SEMrush. And we also, I went through the free trial of Moz Pro. I like Majestic. I've been using Majestic for years, and I wanted to see like what the differences were. And I realized after starting to try to test all these different backlink analysis tools that I like Majestic reporting only the links that really provide any value, because then I can focus on those. And the reason I started telling you that was because you'll notice that in a lot of the tools, or especially Majestic, you won't see like a lot of the Web 2 type links, Web 2.0 type links that you get back to your site. Why is that? Because they're not powerful enough for Majestic to register them in your backlink reports, right? Or to show them in your backlink reports. But this is why I'm getting at, if you can produce well-tuned content and publish it on like a Web 2 property again, and then you start to power that up, you'll see those links start to appear. And it's because they now have enough authority that they will register, that Majestic will show them in the reports. So I've been teaching over the last few weeks now about the GMB process, which, by the way, that's a good opportunity to drop that. It's free, guys. You can go, all you got to do is opt in to get my GMB process checklist. And in there, you'll see there's link building for tier one links and link building for tier two links. And I have a link building, what I call a local link building diagram, because all I do is local, that shows essentially how I set up my tier one links. And it's all really well tuned or SEO tuned content on those tier one links so that I can manipulate my anchor text ratios to get it within range of my competitors. And once it's not about the quantity of links, it's about the anchor text ratios being kind of similar or close to what the top ranked competitors' anchor text ratios are. I don't care what the number of links are, because I'm going to take with just a handful of links and I'm going to really power those up at tier 2 and beyond, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, if you take a look at my local link building diagram in the GMB process checklist, you'll see what I'm talking about, because I like to use Web 2.0s and such, because there's things that I have control over, as opposed to like buying PBN links that could potentially become toxic at some point, and then you don't have control over them to have them removed. Where Web 2 stuff is, I can have branded profiles on Web 2. I can put content that we tune on there and then always log back in and change stuff if needed, or delete the page or whatever if it ends up becoming toxic or produces a negative effect at some point. So I like doing that way better, and then really just powering up those tier 1 links through tiered backlinking through spam or mass links to my tier 1 links, or using some more higher powered stuff. Like I just said, I wouldn't do PBN links directly to the money site. I've tested with that recently to a degree, but I don't like doing that, because you lose a level of control. But taking your tier 1 links that you have control over, the way that I'm talking about, and then buying PBN links to power those up, if that makes sense. Because with spam links, it does take multiple tiers, and it takes a long time for them to really produce an effect, and you have to keep building spam links. Whereas when you buy, like, for example, PBN links that I would never want to point directly to the money site, but you can point to tier 1 content and really power that stuff up. And those tend to have a better effect that lasts longer. And it also has a quicker effect, I found. But really the best thing is to do a little bit of both, right? Tier 1 entity tuned content, where you can manipulate anchor text ratios, and then you power it up with, for a quick hit, with PBN links. You power up the tier 1 links with PBN links, and then, maybe once every month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that, you do a tiered spam link campaign to keep, new links coming into those tier 1 assets on a regular basis, if that makes sense. It's a good question. All right. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? He says, hey guys, awesome content. I just picked up Viper Tools combo this week and got some products from the new store. Okay, cool. Wanted to know, what's the best way to power up the authority of a YouTube channel? Can you rank a video even if it's 1 year old? Yeah, you can, absolutely, Daniel. You've got Viper Tools, so you can take that video and just start sending traffic to it. What I recommend doing is start sending traffic to it through Viper Tools, the YouTube Viper, but also you could do it through the Google Traffic Viper, right? Because you could either do search and click traffic from Google itself, if it's, if it can find it in the SERPs. You can also do direct traffic from the Google Traffic Viper to the actual URL. And here's the thing, guys, test with various, and Michael's better at this because Michael does, in his group, he might give you a better answer because he does a lot of YouTube SEO stuff. I don't so much anymore because I use paid ads for traffic in YouTube. But test with various URLs, versions of the YouTube URL to send traffic to. And then once you start sending some traffic to it, I like to do traffic signals first. And once that starts, then start doing backlinks to it instead of the other way around. You can probably get results the other way around. I have not done a lot of video SEO stuff lately, but I like to, and a more natural kind of progression is for something to start to go viral and start getting views, and then people start linking to it in social shares and that kind of stuff. So I like to do it that way, where I start to send traffic to it first. Even a video a year old, it doesn't matter. It just means like, hey, maybe there was something that recently happened where all of a sudden now that video became popular, or somebody somewhere that has a lot of traffic or a big group or something posted it somewhere, if that makes sense. And then all of a sudden it starts getting traffic. And then as people are starting to view it, people start to link to it, right? And do social shares and comment and like it and subscribe and add it to the saved playlist, or the saved videos and all that kind of stuff that you can do in Viper Tools, Daniel. So, and then also I know Michael's talked about, putting the video on pages that are within relevant content, and then sending the traffic Viper to the page that it's embedded on, and then watching the video on that page. So that's something else that you could do. And you could power up that page. Like, so for example, if you post it into a Web 2 post somewhere, add some relevant content around it, embed the video, and then you can start hammering that Web 2 page where the video is embedded with links and traffic. and that's going to also power it up. So yeah, there's a number of things you can do to, and lastly, something else you could always do is just add, I know you have Viper tools, but also set up a YouTube ads campaign and use that video that you want to rank as an in-stream ad, find a relevant audience segment, and then use that as an in-stream ad. You just need a small budget, but also getting real good, buying traffic from Google, even with traffic. Look, I use both the Viper tools and Google ads together because I think there's a benefit to buying real traffic from Google from a known audience, which Google knows are real Google users. But then there's also a benefit of having Viper tools because you can kind of direct the bot to do some things that you can't direct, a real user to do. So I say use both of those if you're really trying to rank something like that, Daniel. Okay. Richie says, Bradley, how can I be a part of your every other Thursday MPP group? Either join the mastermind, Richie, or purchase the Magic Page plugin through our affiliate link. That's the only prerequisites. You either have to be in the mastermind or have purchased the Magic Page plugin through our affiliate link and provide proof of purchase. But, again, if you come join the mastermind group, I promise you won't be disappointed. And it says, what's the page load speed course you mentioned? I wish to God I wouldn't have mentioned it now, only because as I was thinking it, I was like, man, I can never remember the name of the damn course. And the last time somebody asked me this, it took me like 8 minutes to find it. So Aaron, I'll try to find it and tag you. I'll reply to your comment back here once the webinar is over, because it'll take me several minutes to locate it again. I always forget what the hell the name of it is, and I don't know why. It's one of those things that I just can't remember. But I'll find it for you and let you know. Okay. Nick, what's up, Nick? He says, Bradley, I have a pretty basic question about blog posts / site structure. I have my category pages redirecting to the top of the silo page, but I'm struggling with where on the website I should be linking to the blog post. Is it ideal to include every blog post related to the silo linking out from the very same top of silo post? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Nick. Let's see. Is it ideal to include every blog post related to the silo linking out from that very same top of silo post? No, excuse me. No, see, I like to do kind of the opposite, where I like to do like everything below the top of silo links back up to the top, not the other way around. I don't like to have the top linking out to everything below it, if that makes sense. I'm not going to diagram it out because we're not in the mastermind right now. And Nick, I think you dropped out of the mastermind. I don't think you're in there anymore, but for whatever reason. But all I do is I try to link back down from the top of silo page to the first post in the silo, right? Does that make sense? And then all of the interlinking is done below that. So in other words, each subsequent post can link to the previous post, and it can cross-link to other posts within the same silo. And you can always link back up from every supporting post back up to the top of silo page. But I usually only have one link from the top of silo page down into the silo. So it just links into one supporting post. That's it. Because what I want is all of the link equity to be flowing through from all the blog posts, always back up to the top of silo page. Does that make sense? And so if you're recycling link equity, which is what you can do with a proper type of silo structure, is I want all of that link equity from all the the child pages of the posts, right? Essentially, every one of those has an internal link that either links to one of the other posts in the same silo or up to the top of silo page, or both, which is fine. And all that link equity kind of accrues throughout the silo, but all funnels back up to the top of silo page. And on the top of silo page, I typically only have one link down into the silo, which pushes some of it back down into the silo, and then perhaps another link on the top of silo page that links up to like the home page, for example, if that makes sense. So that essentially all those supporting posts become like little link equity traps, right? Or in other words, each one of those, especially because you're syndicating your syndication network every single time you post. And if you're powering up your syndication network posts, which I recommend that you do, then you're pushing power from your syndication network, into your posts, which ultimately push back up to the top of silo page. And I only want a little bit of that juice that's flowing up into the top of silo page, going back down into the silo. And that's kind of recycling it. Then I want some of that juice going up to the homepage too, because the homepage then can redistribute that juice throughout the rest of the site, depending on how you have your internal links set up on your homepage, which I know follow the shit out of everything on my homepage, except for where I want to direct the link flow, if that makes sense. So for example, you know, on my home pages and stuff now, guys, like I no follow every freaking link on the homepage except for the target pages that I want link equity to flow to. And then I redirect all of my internal links, like I said, to where it's very, very strategic as to how, and that's part of the reason why I said in the last few months that I've switched to a much more simple type of site structure, because when you have a bunch of tag pages and a bunch of categories and subcategories and all that kind of stuff, it can be very difficult to direct link flow that way. But when you have a much simpler kind of build on the site, then it makes it a lot easier to direct that sort of a flow. So I think there's been some confusion on that, because in the mastermind, one of our members, G, actually just posted earlier today. I've got a reply to him about, he says, a normal silo, you link down from the top of the silo down into the silo. And because I had actually described what I'm telling you, Nick, in a previous reply to this thread in Facebook. And I was talking exactly what I just mentioned to you about how I like to link within the silo, deep from within the silo, always back up to the top. And so his reply to me was like, well, in a traditional silo, you link back down. Well, I don't know why that, like, who said that was a traditional silo? The way I look at it is I always want the link equity flowing up to my top of silo pages, not the other way around. I don't want it flowing down other than a percentage of it, because that's how you recycle link juice, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but he says, yes, that makes sense. But how does the web crawler reach those pages if they are not linked to? Because they are linked to. Like I'm saying, they can't be orphaned pages if you are linking within the silo. So, all right, let's say you've got your top of silo page and you've got, 10 supporting posts. In the supporting post one, let's just say it doesn't have to be that. You can link from the top of silo page to any one of those supporting posts. If every one of those 10 supporting posts are linking, so post 2 links to post 1, post 3 links to post 2, post 4 links to post 3, right? So you daisy chain those posts together. Then you can interlink from any one of those posts to another post. There's no problem with that at all, right? And in each one of those posts, you can always link back up to you don't have to always have a link back up to the top of silo page, but you can. So that's what I'm saying. As long as you have a link from any one post in the silo to any one of the other posts in the silo, so that every single post has a link to another post within that same silo, there's not going to be an orphan page, right? Because the web crawlers are going to crawl from the first link at the top of silo page down to the first post, which is going to link down to the next post, the next post, the next post. It'll crawl every single one of them. And if there happens to be an internal link that links back up to the top of silo page, or to another post within the same silo, the bots are going to split and go in each direction, and they're all going to end up flowing back up to the top anyways, because of the internal links. Does that make sense? So again, I could show this to you in a diagram in the mastermind, but not here. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. Hopefully you understand, but as long as you have internal links to the pages or posts, they can't be orphaned. Does that make sense? So he says, okay, sorry for dropping out. No worries. Yeah, I had the very same preconception as G. There are a lot of SEOs out there who say linking back and forth is a legit strategy. You explained it very well. Thanks again. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, look, there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat, guys. I like to do what I've been testing over the last several months with organic ranking stuff. Like I said, I like a much simpler site structure now. And I like to flow everything from what's below the silo up. I don't like to do it the other way around, except for one entry point from the top of silo down into the supporting post. That's it, just one point. And then everything else, I could have, 20 in 10 posts, I could have 20 points where it flows back up to the top of silo because of a link to the previous post and a link back up to the top of silo. So if every single supporting post had 2 internal links, one to the previous post and one to the top of silo, then out of 10 supporting posts, you would have 10 links going back up to the top of silo, but only one link going from the top of silo down into the any one of those posts. It doesn't have to be the first post. It could be any one of them, if that makes sense. And so again, it's all that link equity that you can push into your supporting posts through syndication networks, through GMBs. If you, again, we talk about this in the mastermind. If you are doing blog posts, you should be mirroring that same blog post silo structure in GMB posts. And I use what's called go to my GMB process, guys. Go to gmbprocess.com, opt in, download the GMB process checklist. Take a look at my post silo diagrams. When you're doing a mirror post silo, a mirror silo and GMBs, then every single one of your CTA buttons are going to link back to the post URL that it's corresponding post URL on the money site, right? And then you interlink the GMB post just using a text post in the post body, or excuse me, a text link in the post body of the post. So what I'm saying is now you've got your GMB posts that are pushing power, which, because remember, you can hammer GMB posts with backlinks. So you can push power through the CTA button to the blog post URL. Then the blog post URL is now, that the blog post itself has 2 internal links or however many, but I typically will have 2, one back up to the top of silo and one to the previous post. So you're pushing power both that way, to the top of silo plus internally to a sibling post within the silo. The same thing goes with your syndication network properties, right? You syndicate automated, it's syndicated to your syndication network properties. Well, you can extract the post URLs from your syndication network site. So WordPress, just those 3 alone, you could do it with Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress. So you go take the post URLs, not the homepage, the profile URL, but the actual blog post URL from those sites. And you could add link building to that. So you're pushing power to the Web 2.0 syndicated post, which then pushes power back to the post on the money site, which then flows back up to the top of silo, right? So you have all these different things. You can do it with press releases, videos, YouTube videos, GMBs. And again, just in the mastermind, we talked about a strategy for publishing blog posts, mirroring that same silo structure on a GMB post, mirroring that same silo structure with YouTube videos and a YouTube silo, which using something like formerly Vidnami, I'm using wave.video right now to do it, but there's also Pictory, another one where you can take the GMB posts, which are just summaries of your blog posts, right? So it's short form text. It's summarized your blog posts. You've mirrored that into a GMB post silo. Now you've got these short form summaries that can be converted very easily into YouTube videos. So now you create a YouTube silo with using playlists, same internal linking structure. And now you've got YouTube, Google My Business post silo and a blog post silo. And now you can promote each one of those with a press release silo. So you have a press release for each one of the blog posts. You embed the YouTube video. You do an exact match anchor text link from within the press release to its corresponding GMB post URL with an exact match anchor because it's GMB. You can get away with it. And then the CTA button links to the post URL on the money site. So you're pushing all this power through YouTube and from press releases through YouTube and through GMB posts back to your money site post, but it's going through all those different properties. Right? So you have a mirrored structure now in 4 locations, an exact duplicate, just on different platforms, all of it flowing through and ultimately back to your money site. Does that make sense? Very, very powerful strategy. So, well, that was good. No more questions. Good timing. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We do have, I think, Build with Bradley tomorrow. Yeah, I think so. So anyways, we'll see you guys then.